to safety data sheets. 16-part standardized format. The following are changes associated with HCS 2024. Safety data sheets have a standardized GHS format containing 16 sections. These sections have specific headings and are in a mandated sequence. An SDS must be printed in English. All SDSs must be readily available. All hazardous chemicals are being classified according to GHS standards. Chemical manufacturers are in the process of creating GHS-compliant SDSs to replace existing MSDSs. As these are received, the workplace must add the new safety data sheet to their database and archive old MSDSs. Safety data sheet's content and any new hazards must be reviewed with employees as well. The 16-part format with standardized hazard words and pictograms will make the workplace safer. Content of the safety data sheet will be consistent with information found on the chemical label. Safety data sheets. Section 1. This section includes the name of the chemical and other common names that may be used to identify it. Also included are the name, United States address, United States telephone number, and emergency phone number of the chemical manufacturer, importer, or other responsible party. In the identification section, the recommended uses will also be listed, as well as any restrictions on use. Section 2. Hazard identification. This is a key section of the SDS, as it provides number 1. Classification of the chemical. Number 2. Signal word, hazard statements, symbols or pictograms, and precautionary statements. Number 3. Hazard classification. Number 4. Description of any hazards not otherwise classified. Number 5. Information where an active ingredient with unknown acute toxicity is used. The language and pictograms in the hazard identification section are an integral part of what makes an SDS GHS compliant. Becoming familiar with the information in Section 2 of the safety data sheet will make your workplace a safer one. Section 3 of the Safety Data Sheet. Composition and information on ingredients. This section includes the ingredient or ingredients contained in the chemical. This includes the substance or mixture of all chemicals within the container. Substances must have the chemical name, the common name and synonyms, the chemical abstract service number and other unique identifiers, impurities, and stabilizing additives, which are themselves classified, and which contribute to the classification of the substance. Mixtures. The chemical name, CAS number, or other unique identifier, and concentration or concentration ranges of all ingredients which are classified as health hazards. Chemicals must be identified if they are present above their cutoff/concentration limits or present a health risk below the cutoff/concentration limits. The concentration, or exact percentage, shall be specified unless a trade secret claim is made, when there is no batch-to-batch variability in the production of a mixture, or for a group of substantially similar mixtures with similar chemical composition. For all chemicals where a trade secret is claimed, a statement that the specific chemical identity and/or concentration of the composition has been withheld as a trade secret is required. When the concentration or concentration range is withheld as a trade secret, the prescribed concentration range must be used. Section 4 of the safety data sheet pertains to first aid measures. This section explains the care that needs to be implemented when an individual has been exposed to a hazardous chemical. This includes a description of necessary measures, divided according to the different routes of exposure, inhalation, skin or eye contact, and ingestion. It also includes the most important symptoms or effects, acute and delayed, as well as an indication of immediate medical attention and special treatment needed. Section 5 of the safety data sheet is in regard to firefighting measures. This section includes information on fighting a fire. This includes suitable and unsuitable extinguishing media, specific hazards arising from the chemical, and special protective equipment and precautions for firefighters. Section 6 of the safety data sheet. Accidental release measures. This section describes the appropriate measures to take in the case of a spill. It includes personal precautions, protective equipment, and emergency procedures and methods and materials for containment and cleaning up. Section 7 of the safety datasheet pertains to handling and storage. As stated, this section covers information on safely handling and storing chemicals that are incompatible with this chemical. Section 8 of the safety datasheet covers exposure control and personal protection. This section details the OSHA permissible exposure limits, American Conference of Governmental Industrial Hygienists threshold limit values, and any other exposure limit or range used or recommended by the chemical manufacturer, importer, or employer preparing the safety data sheet where available. It will contain information about appropriate engineering controls and individual protection measures. Key information in this section includes what personal protective equipment, or PPE, needs to be utilized while using this chemical. PPE details for the following may be included in this section of the safety data sheet: respiratory, body, hand, hygiene, eye. Section 9 of the safety data sheet contains information regarding physical and chemical properties. At a minimum, the following information should be present: physical state, color, odor, melting point or freezing point, boiling point, flammability, lower and upper explosion limit or flammability limit, flash point, auto-ignition temperature, decomposition temperature, pH, kinematic viscosity, solubility, partition coefficient, vapor pressure, density, relative vapor density, particle characteristics. If some of this information is not present on the safety data sheet, it must be noted that it is not applicable or not available. Section 10 of the safety data sheet covers stability and reactivity. This information is divided into 7 sections. Stability outlines the stability of a chemical under normal conditions and storage. This includes any potential safety issues that may arise if it becomes unstable. Reactivity would detail reactivity test data on this chemical. Other would detail possible hazardous reactions and the conditions that might cause these reactions to occur. Hazardous reactions. The section outlines the possibility of hazardous reactions, including those associated with foreseeable emergencies, including a statement on whether the chemical will react or polymerize. Conditions to avoid lists. Conditions that should be avoided to prevent hazardous situations, such as static discharge, shock, or vibration. Incompatible materials identifies materials that could react dangerously with the chemical. Hazardous decomposition products lists known or anticipated hazardous decomposition products that could be produced due to use, storage, or heating. Section 11 pertains to toxicological information. Detailed information regarding different routes of exposure and the effects that the chemical might have are in this section. They include information on the likely routes of exposure, symptoms related to the physical, chemical, and toxicological characteristics, delayed and immediate effects, and also chronic effects from short and long-term exposure, numerical measures of toxicity, such as acute toxicity estimates, interactive effects. Information on interaction should be included if relevant and readily available, and whether the hazardous chemical is listed in the National Toxicology Program Report on Carcinogens or has been found to be a potential carcinogen in the International Agency for Research on Cancer Monographs, or by OSHA. When specific chemical data or information is not available, the preparer must indicate if alternative information is used, and the method used to derive the information, such as where the preparer is using information from a class of chemicals rather than the exact chemical in question and using SAR to derive the toxicological information. Section 12 of the safety data sheet pertains to ecological information. Section 13 to disposal considerations. Section 14 to transport information. And Section 15 to regulatory information. These 4 sections are required to be in a GHS-compliant safety data sheet. However, they do not fall under OSHA's jurisdiction, as other agencies regulate the information contained in these sections. Section 16 contains other information. Dates when the SDS was written are in this section. Also, changes from previous MSDSs and SDSs might be noted here, along with the last revision date. There are some key points to keep in mind regarding safety data sheets. SDSs for household chemicals are not needed if those chemicals are used in the same way they are used in a household, including the frequency and duration. Assign a person to keep your safety data sheets up to date. Train, train, train on the format and the importance of reading a safety data sheet. When a new safety data sheet comes in, have a plan. Look for changes that may need to be brought to the attention of the employees. Safety data sheets may be stored electronically, provided they are accessible to all employees. However, it is recommended that there is a paper set. Be certain a safety data sheet is available for a chemical before you work with it. Learn the pictograms. Become familiar with the 16-part safety data sheet.